With Formula 1 returning in a few weeks' time, I thought it would be a good idea to bring you up to speed, no pun intended there, with how the sport works. So this is the beginner's guide to Formula 1. The race weekend itself lasts 3 days and starts on a Friday, with 2 practice sessions each lasting an hour taking place. These are used by the teams and drivers to assess the track conditions and try out different setups on the car. If you don't know what a setup is, it consists of suspension angles and how much downforce a wing produces, along with many other factors. Drivers will already know the track well, either from experience racing there before or from practice in the simulator, probably a bit of both. But this doesn't mean that we won't see some big mistakes and crashes, as drivers get used to the circuit. On Saturday we have the third and final practice session in the morning, which is used by the teams to make final tweaks to the setup of the car and prepare for qualifying, which takes place in the afternoon. Drivers will try to set qualifying simulation laps in practice 3, making sure that their setup is perfect as they can't change the setup for the rest of the weekend after they start qualifying. We then move on to qualifying, where we see the cars going the quickest they will go all weekend. The session lasts 1 hour overall and is split up into 3 sections, Q1, Q2 and Q3. In Q1, all 20 drivers are out on track and they have 18 minutes to set a lap time, with the 5 slowest drivers being eliminated from qualifying. In Q1, we don't expect to see the faster teams going as quickly as they can, as they don't want to push the car too hard when they don't need to, because all they need to do is get in the top 15, which for a team like Mercedes is almost guaranteed. After a short break, we move on to Q2, with the 15 drivers left having 15 minutes to set their lap time. Like Q2, the 5 slowest drivers are eliminated, and one thing to remember about Q2 is that the 10 drivers who manage to get through to Q3 have to start the race on the same tyres they used to set their fastest lap time in Q2. Due to this, some faster teams will use slower tyres, like the mediums, so that they can go longer into the race before pitting, but this is a risk as medium tyres are slower than the soft. Finally, we have Q3, the top 10 shootout for pole position, where we see the cars and drivers pushing themselves to the absolute limit. The driver with the fastest time after the 12 minutes of Q3 gets pole position, and it's probably going to be a Mercedes driver on pole this year. We now head into the race, the only session on Sunday, and it can last anywhere from 1.5 hours to 2 hours, with drivers being required to use at least 2 different types of tyre compound during the race, but this doesn't apply to wet races. This means that pit stops play a key part in the driver's finishing position, as when a driver uses the faster and slower compounds and how many stops he makes during the race are all key factors for the strategist to consider. The race is regarded as the best part of the weekend by most fans, and for good reason too, as this is where we see big crashes, bold overtakes, and sometimes changeable weather conditions. The race is also the only place where drivers can score points for the World Championship, hence why it is regarded as the main event. The point system is on screen, and one thing worth noting is that 1 additional point is awarded for the fastest lap of the race, if the driver is in the top 10. The top 3 drivers get to go on the podium, a prestigious place with champagne and music, although it's not exactly all civilised with drivers gently sipping the champagne listening to Bach. Oh no, the drivers spray it, or if your name is Kimi Räikkönen, you chug it. It's a place of high emotion, and every driver regards it as special to be on it, even if they haven't won, unless you're Lewis Hamilton, who's been on so many podiums that the magic of it has probably gotten old by now. And that's the race weekend. 3 practice sessions, qualifying and a race. 3 days of drivers pushing the fastest cars in the world to the limit, making daring overtakes, having big crashes, and sometimes achieving results that absolutely no one expected, all with the aim of winning a big shiny trophy at the end of the year. In my opinion, it truly is the most exciting sport in the world, and I encourage you to watch at least one race, just to experience it all, although don't watch Sochi, or Spain, or Monaco.